All right, everyone, I got news for you. Your fancy localhost dashboard for your AI agents does not work. That slick artifact that you screenshotted for the timeline does not work either. I'm going to say the thing nobody building agents wants to hear is that the pretty UI is a theater. None of that is work. The work is the boring part. It is the harness around the agent and the grounding underneath it. So today we're going to go off of our chief of staff workflow, the chief of staff agent I have. We're going to go off the whole workflow and try to learn about this. I run two companies, Remic AI and Mebian. The one-line version is basically each morning I type one command and I have everything ready in front of me. The thesis is this is the part people get wrong, right? They wire up an agent, they build a beautiful dashboard on top of it, they post a screenshot and they call it a system. Then they ask it to do something that matters and it hallucinates it. It acts on stale data and does not have a verification loop, which we call a harness. So I have three entry points right here. One is /COS, other is /morning brief, and other is /end of the day brief. Basically, all are agnostic. We can use it with Claude Code, Codex, and also Gemini CLI right here. This is the part I'm most intrigued about, or I'm the most psyched about to talk. Every invocation starts the same way. The agent grounds itself before talking. How does it ground itself? It has a shell script on the session start. Loads persistent state. I use Docker and Redis for memory, as well as an Obsidian and Graphify second brain. So we have compiled brains for the whole system, right? The whole CEO/founder system. We use ClickUp for task management. So it gets a live ClickUp snapshot on the runtime. Basically, that is part of the runtime protocol, and it checks the decision inbox of their shared decisions. So each agent has a shared decision inbox with the other agents. It just checks that. So if the grounding protocol is passed, it will run the workflow. Otherwise, it will not, and it will re-verify the harness. Now the actual output. The morning brief leads with growth, which is step 0. It pulls the AI notes from our morning stand-ups and asks one question: what actually moved growth? What we're focusing on right now. Then it sweeps everything, the task system, both content pipeline for both of the companies, our outbound campaigns, our calendar, if we have any meetings for that day, what do we have scheduled for the whole day. It checks GitHub's, our GitHub projects and deployments, Remic, Mebian on separate tracks the whole way. I get a growth scoreboard per company, the top 3 moves, the blockers, and pre-drafted team messages that I can approve and my agent can send on behalf of me. So at night, basically /EOD brief, it does a thing no dashboard or no fancy localhost artifact does. It does not start fresh. It reads this morning's brief that I already had to do and grades the day against it. So that kind of becomes the benchmark of it grading the whole day, what moved, what posted, what closed, and what got sent. So it gives me 4 answers: what moved, what did not, what we should have done and never even queued, and what we even do tomorrow. That last one, what we even do tomorrow, feeds straight into tomorrow's morning brief. The system is checking its own homework against yesterday's plan. Basically, it ends the day and it checks the EOD brief next morning. And that is the loop my chief of staff agent uses. Basically, it uses the morning brief to write the end of the day brief and uses that end of the day brief to start the next morning. It is a compounding loop because every time it writes a brief, it also writes back to its own memory, basically my Docker containers, Redis caching, and its own compiled unified brain. It writes back into that. So each agent never starts from 0. Each agent knows where exactly to pick it up from and what moved, what didn't move. It all lives in the harness and the grounding protocol. So where it lives on my computer, I have kind of a file map here, which this note, I'm just going to end the video on this. Basically, we have a bunch of markdown files on our architecture and our brief. We have a bunch of Claude Code and Codex skills. Obviously, the Claude.md and agents.md exists, but we also have a bunch of Python scripts that power the loop, the muscle behind the markdown files, because markdown files alone aren't enough to like ground your agent and have them go through strict protocol. You need shell scripts and Python scripts to get them through each step. There's ClickUp Python script. There's buffer Python script so for social media scheduling. There's also protocol receipts for memory writing. Significance gate, which is very important. It scores each memory or each event and decides whether it is worth it to or significant enough to write it back to the containers or its compile brain. It ingests my decisions and it syncs its own memory for each new session. So memory is persistent throughout all the sessions. And that is all for today. Thank you so much. Follow along for the journey. A lot of the videos are going to be very, very helpful for you guys. Thank you for watching.